Brilliant. Didn't I look studious just moments ago? There's always a 30-second delay. Right. So, welcome to number 9. I always lack the usual enthusiasm. I do some enthusiasm stuff. So, if I don't know if I've ever done an assembly from where I do my all my meetings and everything. This is the amazing setup that I have. The only room in the house where I can shut the door and my daughter and wife can actually get on with their lives is my daughter's bedroom. So welcome to my daughter's bedroom. You can see she has, no, it's that hand. She has lots of fun. And where is it? Oh, this is so weird. Up behind me, you can see. Seriously, Phillips, get over this. Right, look, look, look. That says Daddy. This is I'm as big as chart, and you never guess what I'm as tall as on our screen. I'm as tall as a Yeti. So A, Yetis exist. B, they're as tall as me. Great. Okay. Right. Lovely to have some of you watching. And so, can I just say that here's a big shout out. I didn't necessarily put it in the bulletin or the newsletter, but a while back there was some fundraising by Aisha and her sister and family, and probably others of you, into getting like hand creams and things for NHS staff, key workers, and your response was brilliant. But Aisha and her family have carried on with that and bought the creams and delivered them to Epsom Hospital, and they've been fantastically well received. If nothing else, it just shows the love that's out there, even if people didn't need hand cream. And I can't remember which one of you decorated the box, but the box looked beautiful. I'll put the pictures in the newsletter. Okay, so thank you very much indeed for that. Of course, there is also our fundraising for PPE. That's, again, as with all fundraisers that we do at Rosebery, you've excelled yourselves. The community's excelled itself, gone hundreds of times over the title, the hoped for total. Although I don't imagine any of us are going to get a knighthood out of it, because what did Captain Sir Lord Captain Commander Tom manage to raise? Millions and millions. That was a nation desperate to be able to say that they'd taken part in something wonderful. So there you go. Brilliant. Year 13. For any Year 13s still clinging on to semblance of normality in the pastoral care of Rosebery, just a reminder, you've got, what is it, it's 13:12, so you have got 2 hours to complete the yearbook. If you hadn't completed the yearbook, I did give you the big grumpy final email for something that's fun. We won't put blank pages. We do not want you to be known by I didn't do anything other than register, so we'll take the blank pages out, which means my page might go out, but I need to add something. The other thing is, please, 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 Miss Allison emailed you about buddies. Now, we've tried a lot of things, and it's no one's fault that getting, in this whole weirdness, getting Year 13 to really find something they can participate in has been difficult. I will be honest about that. We've had responses, and we love you dearly, but we really, really would love for you to use your time that you have now to try and help the rest of the Rosebery community. We've got some young people really struggling with everything that's going on. Virtual lessons with me, you can imagine that would be a struggle, or whatever. Their participation, their learning, their mental health and well-being is just like yours will have been, suffering. But as our oldest students, with the most life and knowledge and wisdom to impart, please, 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 Year 13, could you reread Miss Allison's email and volunteer your services, because there's some kids that really, really need you. I hate to say this, but they need you more than they need people like me, Lack, Hatfield, Allison. Not including Cooley in that, because no one needs Cooley. No one needs anyone more than Cooley. Oh, but you are, a real link for them. and your wise words, wise counsel, whether it's for just helping them through tough times, their future choices, or in fact their learning. Please, 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 pretty please, give something back and help those young people. Last thing for year 13, just some UCAS advice. I'm getting a few emails. I think lots of you are just sitting on it. You cannot really do anything about UCAS until you have your grades. It's deeply frustrating that the government gave themselves, I don't know, longer to sort stuff out, even though there's no papers to mark. Because if the school is sending their grades in the next week or so, then they could apply the maths reasonably quickly, and they initially said they would, and they've pushed it to the normal time. It's this desperate desire for it to be more normal, but what they don't understand is we've now had a bunch of year 13s sitting at home wondering what their grade is going to be, already for 2 months and now for another 2 months. So that is frustrating, but there isn't a great deal you can do. Please don't. You put such effort in your personal statements and such effort and rigor in really thinking about your choices, that you've got to back yourselves. Back your September, October, November self. Okay, you made good choices. All right, so sit tight. The one thing I will say, however, is get the finance stuff sorted now. Even if you think you might not need it, even if you think matters are going to change, even if you're absolutely not happy with the concept of paying £9,000 to do this, I can understand that, and so you might defer. I don't know. Universities are very worried about what you might choose to do, but Cambridge today said that all of next year is going to be online. And others have said that even if it is online, tuition fees won't change. There are going to be some decisions we'll try and help you with, but sort the finance out now, because then it will be ready come what may in September, October. If you sort of leave it and go, well, I want to see what happens, the difficulty with that is you've then got to get that loan in on time. So my advice is get the financial stuff sorted and accommodation. Get yourself in on paper, and then do just sit on it. I thought of another thing. The Pick for Britain website is up and running. I haven't had a chance to look to see if there's anything in our vicinity, but it just reminded me of all the mindless yet grueling jobs I've done in my life, and how weirdly they were, in hindsight, not necessarily at the time, they were really, really fun. There's part of me that kind of fancies a few months of 12-hour shifts picking strawberries. It's a simple life. Through that, we find happiness. Anyway, have a look at it. See if there's something. You could earn some cash. You can become a fruit picking hero for the nation. So there we go. I shall make no comment about Brexit. Okay, right. So this is quite an information sort of heavy assembly, I guess. But sort of moving on to year 12 now. Your parents should have received a letter yesterday talking about how we are going to, or how we propose to try and get you back in for some face-to-face teaching. I'm not going to add much to that letter other than the fact that I know there could be many thousands of ways of doing it. I know as head of sixth and the sort of community there that I'm in, there for every sixth form there's a different way. But a huge amount of thought has gone into it, and personally, whilst I sort of have seen it and everything, it's people far cleverer and with much greater depth of knowledge and understanding that have put this plan together. And I hope we manage to pull it off, because we want to see you. We want to see you face to face and to teach first and foremost. So that's kind of what I want to talk about just briefly, is just measured expectations of what will happen if you return. The absolute nuts and bolts of it are for curriculum-based teaching, because regardless of everything else, the more we can do to help you get the best A-level grades, then that really is what's going to help you stand in good stead for the longest period of time. Everything else, we hope to keep every plate spinning and to keep you well and to see you and to be able to talk you through difficulties that you may have had and continue to have. but our first and foremost is about that curriculum teaching. And so therefore, please, please, please read it carefully. Huge physical changes have gone in and around the school to mitigate, that means to reduce risk as low as possible to something that does have a lot of unknowns. And there is a survey on there. So please, as year 12s, talk to your parents. Make sure they know what you think. And then obviously they know what they think. And then fill it in. There's a deadline on it, but fill it in sooner rather than later, because then the leadership team at the school know roughly what the feeling is of our population, so that we can try and see if we can staff it effectively, and let's bring some great learning back, because as I've always said, learning has such powerful mental health implications. When your brain is busy and it feels supported and it feels encouraged and it's making those new connections, it can be happier. Okay, it can contextualize everything else that's going on, but it won't be normal. It will be very different, and you'll be coming in for those lessons. So I'm not going to say anything more, because we don't know how many of you are saying you want to come in. We don't know exactly what the government is going to change. It seems every single day they've dripped new information. And so what I propose is, when we know that we are going to go forward with a plan, is I will not do a YouTube thing like this. I will set up a Google Meet for all of year 12, and I want as many of you to come as possible, and in that I will try and talk you through, and obviously email questions beforehand, so therefore the questions can be answered. If I can't answer all the questions, I'll try and get the right people for that Google Meet, and I will do it the day before you are due in. That's not for lastminute.com. That is just simply so that we've got the most up-to-date information, and give us the longest period of time to try and answer or no answers to your questions. So provisionally, we have a plan to get you in. We've got to get the staff survey back in. I say we, it's nothing, I haven't got to read it all. The staff survey will be coming back in to the leadership team, as will your answer to the survey. We'll look at the buildings. We will try and help you be there in some way, and I will set up a Google Meet, I would suggest the day before, and as many of you as possible come, so that when you do know, even though if you're not actually in on the first day, because it's not necessarily your you may not have a subject in that block, but you know exactly what to expect, because it's going to feel a bit weird, and that you need to know what door you're coming in. You need to know that you're not meant to be here or there, and that when you sat down, that's all you do. I want you to be able to know that, so it doesn't upset anyone. In terms of pastoral provision, obviously there are a number of us that will offer those meetings, and again, I will say more in the Google Meets to how it will work. Do not stop talking to us about pastoral concerns. That means happiness. That means I'm worried about. That means I didn't manage, or this has happened. You must keep telling us, but it will have to look different, because we have to stay away from each other as much as possible. Okay, but there'll be more on that. So one assumes the week after half term. And one thing I will say is, to keep all the plates spinning, your higher education stuff wouldn't have started till after half term, and I have held back for a reason, because you're going to have to still do a lot of learning remotely, and we've got to crack that first. But what I will say is, it will be carefully curated lessons for you to do your work, your higher education process. So logging in and applying to UCAS as a member of Rosebery, what a personal statement looks like, how do you choose courses. I'm going to do all that, but I'm not going to do it in the building, not unless something changes drastically. Okay, we will try and have some face-to-faces. I've got the medics, I've got Oxbridge. I want to build in more, but again, there are better people better placed, perhaps for the vast majority of you to speak to. But we'll do that. It will be, like I say, it'll be carefully curated online lessons for you to follow, not just done by Rosebery, put out lots of stuff that's bouncing around. And the UCAS website is just opened for us to set it up for you for next year. That's year 12. Mrs. Cooley is hopefully not watching this and sorting out UCAS. So she's going to tell me when that's all ready and set up. Yeah, and then going from there. So there's not going to be those sorts of PSHE lessons in our current plan. They will be online, done remotely, but we will do it. And I'll also be including your parents. So I'll send out we'll do an evening. And again, Google Meet becomes more difficult because do they have logins? So I'll probably do something like a pre-recorded video followed by a live YouTube stream where in the pre-recorded, I'll try and answer your parents' questions, and then in the live, I'll talk through things like how are we going to predict grades for UCAS, and what sorts of things should people do, etc., etc. So we will be doing a parent thing, so please do tell them, and I will try and get something out to them before half term. But as you can imagine, it's all a bit nuts. So anything else for year 12? Well, it's mental health and wellbeing week. I mean, these specific weeks for things fascinate me. But people will release resources. You must look after yourselves. And what I would suggest, it's Wednesday. You've got today. Biologists, I will see you very, very soon, half an hour for our virtual field trip. I'm very excited. I hope it works. But the rest of you, let's go hammer and tongs to get through work so that you can have a week where you say, no, stop, pause, get some sleep, get some rest, treat it like a holiday if you can. Now, many of you would still continue to play catch up in holidays, and that's fine. But really, really, just think about yourselves and your families. What do you enjoy doing? And of those things that you enjoy doing, what can you do? And do those. And, I miss you all terribly. I should be stood in front of you in a flowery shirt, waving my hands everywhere, and I'm not. It makes me sad. But we will get together, and hopefully we'll see you soon. And I think that's everything. Look after yourselves, follow the links, keep doing exercise if you can, keep yourselves busy, reading, learning. Year 13, just try. I've got a year 7 nephew who just basically is on Fortnite all the time, and he is doing his remote learning and he loves Fortnite. And so, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But, there is going to be a future out there for you. And in some respects, it's going to be incredibly exciting. Different to everyone else's future that's ever been before them. And we're here to help you make the most of it. But don't let yourselves, just stew. Okay, do something. Think, I'm going to do this. The Dodies deciding to do something charitable. Those of you that could be buddies, be buddies. Be buddies to young people that are a little bit broken at the moment. And if you're broken, get in touch. I've got some glue somewhere in here. It's me rummaging through the drawer. Okay, you take care, guys, and I shall see you all again soon, no doubt. And very, very soon, if you're a biologist, go to your classroom, virtual field trip. It's going to be epic. Epically brilliant.